Hi, I'm Brittany with Condé Systems, and today we're going to be going over some of the pressing accessories to have a successful sublimation business. Now, all the items you see here, they're not all going to be needed for everybody's business, so you want to be sure to contact your Condé agent or even go to our website, condé.com, and you'll be able to find a full list of all the items that you will need. And even if you've already been in the sublimation business, we have several new items to help make mass quantities, really speed up your production levels, and so it'll be a lot of really good information, and we're going to do a general overview of all of these items. Let's get started. So first, let's go over some of the items that you'll need to prep before we go to sublimate. I have some heat tape and some Condé Dye Trans Pro Spray. These items you'll see us use over and over again in our videos. The heat tape itself, you can do a single dispenser, or I have my deluxe definite length tape dispenser. What's so cool about this is that you can have your tape on one side, you can crank the wheel, very easy to do, and then you get equal lengths of heat tape. And so if you're doing a big production or you're going to be doing multiple items, this might be an easy tool for you to have on hand and find it very handy. You also have your basic dispenser on the other side as well, so you can do it with the wheel or just regular tape dispenser. Some other items that we have that we maybe don't sell but find very useful, and you'll see time and again in our videos. We have a pair of scissors, the lint roller, we have the heat conductive gloves. Just make sure that it's something that you can use while you're going from your press and prepping your item. Don't get them so thin though that your heat just goes straight through your gloves. You'll be able to figure out what works for you. The butcher paper is also an item that we don't sell. Just make sure that it's unwaxed, and that should be able to work for all of your sublimation needs. One of our most useful tools, especially if you're doing mass production, are our production trays. We use a Georgianite press, so these are a Georgianite item. They speed up the prepping process, and I'll show you exactly how we do that. They have a 14 by 16, and we have a 16 by 20 size as well. And the way that the production trays work is that they'll fit so snugly on your press. You'll be able to slide them off, and you would have multiple trays. Hold it sideways so you can tell. And so while I have one of my trays pressing, I'm at the table preparing for the next press. So then I'll be able to use a Nomex pad if I need one, and I'll prep all my items. And then I'll come to my press, take out the one that I just finished, and I'll be able to slide my production tray on and keep moving. And then I'll take off my items from the one that just pressed, and that way I'm always pressing something, and it makes it very easy to do multiple items. You can do many items very quickly. And again, this is a Georgianite item, so it's specific for your press, which makes it even easier. It's a nice snug fit, and it works every time. And I like that a lot because making sure that I'm pressing and that I'm not trying to rush through multiple items, it's just a very, very neat tool to have. Since I had just mentioned the Nomex pad, I figured I'd go ahead and explain this next. We have the Nomex felt pads. We have several different thicknesses, and depending on the item that you're pressing and how you're going to be using your Nomex, that will determine what thickness you will need. Things that you would use the Nomex felt pad for example, if you're going to be doing some kind of like ceramic tiles, anything where you have a beveled edge. The pad itself, this is a heat insulator, so it will be heat resistant, and it will give you a nice curve and give you a full edge on any kind of uneven surface. Speaking of uneven surfaces, I have my green rubber pads. Again, you have a variety of thicknesses, and these are actually heat conductors. So we have the heat insulators and the heat conductors, and this will help whenever you do not have a perfectly even or smooth surface you're working with. This helps create a nice even press and gives you a crisp, clean sublimation, despite the fact that the item itself might not have an even surface. Moving on, we're going to go over some of our Teflon pieces and our vapor foam. For Teflon, I have a Teflon sheet, and this is really just used for protecting the bottom of your press. If you choose to use a sheet of Teflon, you can tape it to the bottom of your press and just kind of keep it there for all of your sublimation. That's really the only thing that we would recommend having a sheet of Teflon to use. Otherwise, we have Teflon pillows, and this will help when you're doing some double-sided items. We have several different sizes. Just depends on what you're going to be making. You'll be able to figure out what size you need. And you got the Teflon on both sides. You got this nice foam on the inside. You can kind of curb it to your item's needs. Next, we have the Vapor Foam Kit. And the Vapor Foam Kit actually comes in a big roll of foam, just like this. And the idea is that you're able to cut the foam and use it, size it to whatever size you're going to need. So if you're doing t-shirts, you can cut it for your standard t-shirt size. If you're doing baby items, if you're doing cold weather accessories, whatever it is that you need to puff out the seams, that's probably one of the number one things that we use it for, is making sure that you get a nice full coverage even when you reach a seam in a product. So you can puff it out, use it again and again, and there's so much of the foam that if it does have any ink on it, you can cut off that piece, cut a new piece, and it lets you do trial and error as well. If you mess up the first time, you have plenty to work with in your entire kit that you'll be able to make it just right the next time. Next, we're going to be looking at some of the jigs that we have to offer. Our first jig that I have, we use this for an insert. We can put it for socks, so we'll just slide the sock over. We can flip it, do both sides. This is for the vapor apparel, the vapor socks. The Vapor Foam Kit itself, we just went over. You don't necessarily have to use it for a vapor item, even though that was its intended use. If you can find multiple items to use it for, whether or not it's a vapor item, that's all the better for you, because that Vapor Foam Kit, like I said, it does come with a lot of foam. This jig itself is specifically for that vapor sock. And our other jigs that I brought with me today, they're all unisub, so that vapor insert is separate from our unisub items. You can do this is called a skeleton jig, just the idea that you'll have your separate board. You'll be able to do your jig on top. The jigs really help when you're doing so many different items. You don't have to have a jig in order to press these items and make them turn out perfect. You can use extra tape, or depending on how many items you're going to do, maybe you do not need a jig. You can even take a piece of cardboard, for example, and cut it out so that it matches what you need your item to fit. The idea is just being able to print out the template, and then you can place your jig on top, fill up all your items, and you get a nice even press every single time. All of your items are going to look the same, and it's going to help you go faster. Make sure that you have all of your items lined up. Similar to that jig. Oh, and the board itself, I know we've used for cooling process sometimes. If you need a heavy item or a heavy weight, sometimes just having these extra boards around have come in handy. The jigs do not always have the metal skeleton jig. You can have actual indents, and you'll be able to line up all your coasters, or if you're doing ornaments, and when you print out your template, it will fit the edge of your jig, and all of the images will align perfectly with all of the items that you want to sublimate. So the jigs are also just another really good tool to use if you want all of your items to look the exact same and you have to press multiple items. Definitely highly recommended. And remember, new products are always coming out, so be sure to contact your Condé agent for all the latest and greatest on production accessories. And be sure to check out our website at Condé.com for all of our production tips and accessories. Watch more of my videos at CondéTV.com. I'm Brittany with Condé Systems, and thanks for joining us.